Ever wondered about the dark underbelly of sports betting? Brace yourself for the shocking truth behind the biggest scam in sports betting history. Get ready to dive deep into the top 15 notorious scandals that rocked the sporting world, from the CCNY Point Shaving Scandal to Pete Rose's baseball betting saga and beyond. We'll uncover the scandals that tarnished legacies, shook fan confidence, and forever changed the landscape of sports betting. Stick around to the end for a captivating journey through the highs and lows of sports gambling. You won't want to miss the twists, turns, and jaw-dropping revelations that await. Get ready to rethink everything you thought you knew about the integrity of sports. CCNY Point Shaving Scandal 1950. In 1951, a scandal rocked the college basketball world when 32 players from various schools, including 4 New York institutions and 3 teams from outside the state, were ensnared in a mafia-led point shaving scheme. Notably, many implicated players hailed from CCNY's 1950 team, the sole squad to have triumphed in both the NCAA and NIT tournaments. This scandal inflicted severe damage on the team, which at the time vied with the Yankees and the Dodgers for New York sports preeminence. Consequently, CCNY's involvement in major athletics waned considerably. Despite protestations from Adolph Rupp, who vehemently denied his Kentucky players' involvement, the team faced a full-season ban. Pete Rose. In 1989, baseball's all-time hit leader, Pete Rose, was banned from the sport for life due to his betting activities, which he adamantly refuted for 15 years. Eventually, Rose confessed to betting during his tenure as manager of the Reds, but insisted he never wagered on baseball games while playing. However, evidence emerged contradicting this assertion, revealing Rose's frequent betting habits, averaging about $2,000 per day in 1987. Despite his habit of betting on the Reds, Rose maintains he never bet against his own team. Although Rose's credibility wavered, there's no evidence to suggest he wagered against his team, a claim consistent with his character. Paul Hornung and Alex Karras. Preceding Pete Rose, NFL luminaries Paul Hornung and Alex Karras found themselves embroiled in controversy. Hornung, an NFL MVP who held a league scoring record for 46 years, and Karras, a first-team All-Pro defensive lineman, routinely engaged in up to $500 bets on NFL games, often in the company of known gamblers. Despite their stellar careers, both men displayed contrition, a lesson Rose could have learned from. Commissioner Rozelle, in imposing an indefinite suspension, explicitly stated that neither player wagered on or against their respective teams. Following a season-long suspension, Hornung went on to be enshrined in the Hall of Fame, while Karras found success in the entertainment industry, starring in the 1980s sitcom Webster. BC Goodfellas. The infamous real-life gangster depicted in Goodfellas didn't meet his downfall due to the notorious Lufthansa heist, the elimination of Billy Bats, or any other typical mob activities. Rather, Jimmy Burke, played by Robert De Niro in Martin Scorsese's cinematic masterpiece, found himself behind bars because Henry Hill, portrayed by Ray Liotta, spilled the beans on a point shaving scandal involving the Boston College basketball team. Hill, who had been nabbed on drug charges, casually dropped the BC bomb during interviews with the authorities. Sensing an opportunity to bring down members of the Lucchese family, the feds leaned into the BC revelation. Hill, seeking immunity, turned informant on his former associates. Initially profitable, the syndicate began to rake in money by strategically betting on Boston College games, ensuring they won but failed to cover the spread or didn't meet high spread expectations in games they were unlikely to win anyhow. John Hot Rod Williams. Before gaining fame as a cherished NBA veteran, John Hot Rod Williams faced legal troubles stemming from a 1985 point shaving scandal at Tulane University, which resulted in the suspension of the basketball program for 4 seasons. Amidst a backdrop of cash, cocaine, and swagger typical of the 1980s, Williams and 4 other players were implicated in manipulating the outcomes of 2 games for a collective payout of $17,000. Williams endured 2 trials, the first ending in a mistrial and the second in his acquittal on 5 counts. Despite the controversy, he went on to enjoy a successful 13-year career in the NBA. Rick Tocchet. Rick Tocchet, a celebrated NHL All-Star and Stanley Cup champion, found himself embroiled in a scandalous affair when he pleaded guilty to involvement in a $2 million gambling ring catering to the affluent and well-known. The plot thickened when the name of Janet Gretzky, wife of hockey legend Wayne Gretzky, surfaced in connection with the illicit activities. Joe Namath. Following his triumph in Super Bowl Joe Namath, the charismatic playboy of American sports, sought to capitalize on his fame by launching a nightclub aptly named Bachelor. Mark Kriegel's biography, Namath, reveals that the club's clientele included a colorful array of characters ranging from con men to bookmakers, embodying the ambience of a vibrant East Side establishment. Despite Commissioner Pete Rozelle's insistence that Namath divest from the club due to its shady reputation, Namath initially chose retirement over selling his stake. However, a chance encounter with Rozelle's daughter softened his stance, leading to his eventual agreement to sever ties with Bachelor III. 8. Tim Donaghy. In 2007, an FBI probe uncovered the shocking revelation that Tim Donaghy, a seasoned NBA referee, had engaged in illicit betting on NBA games and provided insider information to fellow bettors after falling into financial dire straits. Although the scandal captured significant media attention initially, public interest waned swiftly, perhaps indicative of a collective desire among sports enthusiasts to maintain the illusion of integrity within the realm of professional sports. From Black Sox to post-PASPA notorious sports betting scandals. Since the expansion of legal sports betting beyond Nevada, one of the most attention-grabbing infractions didn't involve point shaving or criminal activities. In November 2019, the NFL suspended Arizona Cardinals cornerback Josh Shaw for the entirety of the 2020 season for placing a lawful football bet in Las Vegas. Shaw, who was on injured reserve at the time and had no interaction with his team, wasn't found to have used any insider information. However, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell stated unequivocally, if you work in the NFL in any capacity, you may not bet on NFL football. Yet the allure of sports betting isn't confined to fans alone. Athletes, both professional and collegiate, may feel their deep understanding of the game gives them an edge, despite regulations forbidding such activity. Factors like financial distress or the desire for a lavish lifestyle, especially among college athletes yet to earn substantial income, can lead to more sinister gambling-related issues. Coupled with compulsive gambling tendencies and sheer greed, these factors have contributed to scandals at the intersection of sports and gambling in the United States. The following list, compiled by Sports Handle, delves into some of the most infamous instances of game-fixing, point shaving, racketeering, and unsanctioned gambling in sports history. Regrettably, more such events may find their way onto this list in the years to come, with the pace of growth dependent on the ongoing state-by-state legalization efforts. The curse of the Black Sox. The Black Sox scandal stands as one of the most notorious examples of sports and gambling collusion for several reasons. It tarnished the reputation of baseball, the nation's most beloved sport at the time. The corruption unfolded on the grand stage of the World Series. The scandal forever marred the legacy of star outfielder shoeless Joe Jackson, despite his denials of involvement and remarkable .356 career batting average, the third highest in history. The 1988 film 8 Men Out by John Sayles brought the scandal into mainstream culture, supplementing numerous books on the subject. In the 1919 World Series, the American League dominant Chicago White Sox were heavy favorites against the NL's Cincinnati Reds. However, the odds shifted as heavy bets were placed on the Reds before the series commenced, fueled by rumors of a fix. These rumors proved accurate. While the specifics remain debated, it's undeniable that certain White Sox players accepted money from gamblers with ties to organized crime under the condition that they deliberately lose the series. Despite not all players being complicit, the White Sox rallied from a 4-1 series deficit before ultimately succumbing 1-5 in the 8th game. A grand jury investigation in 1920 led to indictments against 8 players and 5 gamblers, including Jackson, despite his outstanding performance. Although acquitted of criminal charges in 1921, new baseball commissioner Judge Kennesaw Mountain Landis banned all 8 players from professional baseball for life based on their confessions. Another lingering consequence of the scandal is the curse of the Black Sox, with the Chicago White Sox enduring a prolonged championship drought until 2005. Pete Rose's baseball betting saga. Pete Rose's legacy as baseball's all-time hits leader has been overshadowed by his dramatic fall from grace, a narrative that has captivated both his supporters and detractors for decades. Celebrated throughout his 24 seasons as a player, Rose's downfall occurred during his tenure as manager of the Cincinnati Reds in 1989. Following a Major League Baseball (MLB) investigation, it was revealed that Rose had been consistently placing bets on baseball games, a clear violation of league regulations, including wagers on his own team. In 1989, Rose accepted an indefinite ban from the sport, maintaining his innocence regarding baseball betting. Despite years of denial, Rose eventually confessed in his 2004 autobiography, "My Prison Without Bars," to being a habitual bettor, albeit never against his own team. In a 2007 interview with broadcaster Dan Patrick, Rose defended his actions, stating, "I bet on my team to win every night because I loved my team. I believed in my team." Numerous attempts at reinstatement from the league ban were made by Rose in 1992, 1998, and 2015, all unsuccessfully. In 2020, amidst the fallout from the Houston Astros cheating scandal and MLLB's evolving relationship with legal sportsbooks, Rose filed a new appeal. He and his supporters hoped that a favorable ruling from MLB could pave the way for his induction into the Baseball Hall of Fame, an honor currently prohibited for anyone on MLB's ineligibility list. The NCAA basketball scandal of wide scope. The once glorious reputation of City College of New York CCNY basketball has faded into obscurity, largely due to its central role in college basketball's most significant scandal. Following CCNY's unprecedented dual victories in the NCAA and NIT tournaments in 1950, an investigation uncovered organized crime's involvement in paying players to manipulate game outcomes, a practice known as point shaving. This scheme, originating from summer league games in the Catskills, implicated 33 players across 7 schools between 1947 and 1950. Several stars from CCNY's championship team were implicated, prompting the school to de-emphasize its sports programs, ultimately settling at the Division II level. Additionally, the scandal tarnished the reputations of New York University, Long Island University, Manhattan College, Bradley University, the University of Toledo, and even the University of Kentucky, leading to the cancellation of its 1952-53 season by the NCAA. While players cooperated with prosecutors and received no prison time, illegal bookmakers and their associates faced jail sentences. NBA referees foul play. Tim Donaghy's career as an NBA referee abruptly ended in July 2007 amidst allegations of gambling-related misconduct, potentially influencing game outcomes. Pleading guilty to federal charges of conspiracy to commit wire fraud and transmitting wagering information, Donaghy was sentenced to 15 months in prison and fined $500,000. Collaborating with 2 acquaintances from suburban Philadelphia, Donaghy supplied them with information to place bets on games he officiated, receiving payment if the outcomes aligned with their wagers. Although never proven that Donaghy manipulated calls to favor specific teams or point totals, he admitted to betting on many games he officiated. Despite Donaghy's claims of league-induced bias among referees to boost TV ratings and revenue, the NBA denied any such practices. Former Commissioner David Stern labeled the Donaghy case as a wake-up call, prompting the league to implement measures aimed at enhancing officiating oversight. Boston College's costly point shaving affair. Rick Cohn, a former forward for the Boston College basketball team in 1978, found himself entangled not in athletic glory, but in a legal battle that would define his legacy. In contrast to many athletes implicated in sports corruption cases, Cohn opted not to cooperate with prosecutors. This decision came at a steep cost. He served 28 months of a 12-year prison sentence. Cohn was at the heart of an arrangement with dubious associates from his hometown in suburban Pittsburgh to manipulate game outcomes for betting purposes. Enlisting at least one teammate in the scheme, they received payments for intentionally influencing game results. Adding intrigue to the story, Cohn's Pittsburgh contacts had ties to Henry Hill, a figure portrayed by Ray Liotta in Goodfellas. Hill's involvement helped finance the operation, which eventually unraveled when he turned federal informant, revealing connections to larger crimes such as drug trafficking and the infamous Lufthansa heist. In a twist of fate, the gamblers, including Hill's associate Jimmy Burke, faced significant losses. After a string of mixed results, culminating in a failed bet on a game between Boston College and Holy Cross, they abandoned the scheme in frustration. Nearly 20 years later, Boston College athletics endured another blow when 13 members of the 1996 football team were suspended for engaging in sports betting, including 2 players who bet against their own team in a match against Syracuse. Paul Hornung and Alex Karras, the Golden Boy and Mongo. The suspension of NFL stars Paul Hornung and Alex Karras for the entirety of the 1963 season, due to their involvement in gambling activities, sent shockwaves through the league. Hornung, a former Heisman Trophy winner from Notre Dame and NFL MVP in 1961 with the Green Bay Packers, and Karras, a colorful Detroit Lions tackle renowned for his defensive prowess, were both passionate gamblers. While their bets were relatively small and never against their own teams, NFL Commissioner Pete Rozelle imposed a strict ban to set an example. Rozelle emphasized the danger of gambling to the integrity of the sport, stating, "This sport has grown so quickly and gained so much of the approval of the American public that the only way it can be hurt is through gambling." Karras, later famous for his acting roles, reportedly displayed his trademark humor during the suspension, refusing to gamble even during a pre-game coin toss in 1964. In summary, sports have been marred by various scandals throughout history, including point shaving schemes, gambling addictions, and betting controversies involving prominent athletes and teams. From the infamous Black Sox scandal in baseball to the point shaving scandal at CCNY and the gambling downfall of Pete Rose, these events have left lasting impacts on sports culture. Despite attempts at reform and punishment, scandals continue to emerge, reminding us of the complex intersection between sports and gambling. As we reflect on these stories, it's clear that the allure of betting and the desire for financial gain can have detrimental effects on the integrity of sports.